It was an incident that sent shockwaves across Colombo when businessman Dinesh Schaffter was found tied up and strangled inside his car at the public cemetery in Borella on Thursday evening. He was admitted to the intensive care unit of the Colombo National Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. What was the motive for the murder? Was this a premeditated murder, or was this an attempt to intimidate the businessman that went horribly wrong? Reasons for suspicion arise because Dinesh Schaffter was still alive when he was found at the public cemetery in Borella. Sri Lanka police is investigating this homicide on multiple leads and angles.
Detectives are investigating this homicide on multiple angles. Telephone records and CCTV footage are being obtained and analysed. Detectives are also looking into the life of the businessman, complaints made against him to police and the CID, and other business-related matters surrounding the businessman. CID detectives and officers from the Borella police have recorded statements from 23 people. Forensic personnel are also taking records of fingerprints to gather scientific evidence.
What
is the link to Brian Thomas? Sri Lanka police said a statement was recorded from former cricket commentator Brian Thomas regarding the murder of Dinesh Schaffter. Detectives have also taken custody of the mobile device used by Brian Thomas for their investigations. Former cricket commentator Brian Thomas had told detectives that Dinesh Schaffter had sent an SMS to his mobile phone requesting to meet. However, Brian Thomas had responded back by SMS saying there is no need for them to meet. Yet, on Friday, Colombo Additional Magistrate Harshana Kakanawala issued an order preventing former cricket commentator Brian Thomas from travelling overseas.
Brian Thomas
A complaint was filed with the CID with regard to a company that was operated by Brian Thomas and the late businessman. The detectives are looking into this as well, as the complaint relates to a sum of 1.43 billion rupees. Investigations are continuing to identify the criminals responsible for this.
Who is Dinesh Schaffter? Schaffter graduated with a bachelor's degree in law with proficient qualifications in finance as a member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants in the UK. Dinesh Schaffter is a well-respected name in the Sri Lankan financial markets and was committed towards maintaining credibility in the market. Multiple financial companies that he led were operational in the primary and secondary markets in Sri Lanka. Among those is First Capital Treasuries PLC, a company where he was listed as a managing director. Do you recall the infamous Treasury bond scam? Dinesh Schaffter was a primary material witness at the Presidential Commission that investigated the bond scam. The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigated bond issuances from the 1st of February 2015 to the 31st of March 2016, and the evidence provided by Dinesh Schaffter led to startling revelations. The testimony provided by Dinesh Schaffter to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry can be found on page 223 of the report of the Presidential Commission. In his evidence, Schaffter said he had no knowledge of any unusual fund requirement for the government or of any price-sensitive information before the Treasury bond auction on the 27th of February 2015. He said the money requirement of the government that he was aware of is the amount that was advertised by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka before the said auction. According to his evidence, First Capital Treasuries PLC had also placed bids through its chief dealer Sohini Himalika Fernando at the auction held on the 27th of February 2015. Schaffter said he became aware of two unusual events that occurred at this bond auction. One is that the amount of bids accepted at this particular auction was 10 times more than the amount offered. The other is that the yield rate had gone up over 300 basis points than what was prevailing in the market at the time. He said these events were unprecedented and were shocking to him, and therefore he had brought this to the notice of Dr. Harsha De Silva, who was the Deputy Minister at the time. It was done so by him via email, and the first email was sent on the 3rd of March 2015, while the second email was sent on the 6th of March 2015. Further evidence by Dinesh Schaffter noted that his primary dealer company had no intention of bidding at the auction, however did so as it was a mandatory requirement for all primary dealers to place bids. He said that his company placed a dummy bid at the auction, hoping that the bid would be rejected by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. However, as the central bank unexpectedly decided to accept bids with yield rates higher than the market rates at the time, the dummy bid by Dinesh Schafter's company was also accepted. He told the commission that this decision cost his primary dealership a lot of money. The evidence presented by the late Dinesh Schaffter was vital for the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the Treasury bond scam to make its recommendations. When considering all these facts, the late Dinesh Schaffter can be ruled as a powerful witness to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry that investigated the infamous Treasury bond scam.